Today we're gonna do a very interesting and fun comparison. Cheap versus expensive mascara. And this is not just any mascaras on the market. These are my favorite mascaras that I know I love and I've used, and I wanted to put them 1-to-1, see which one prevails. Application, wear time, quality, and of course, what my lashes look like at the end of the night. Let's jump into it. Starting with the more expensive option, and I would say this is my mascara right now, the top that I compare everything to. This is the Lancome Their Idyll Lash Mascara. This retails for $26, and it is just a great mascara all around. The wand is really unique. It has, I think they said 360 micro bristles, really tiny and precise. And this is where you build up that volume and build up that pigment on your lashes. And then you take more of this curved part, and this is where you kind of distribute the mascara throughout your lashes and really build up that pigment if you really want to. But with the first coat, this mascara is very black. It's just very beautiful the way it spreads through your lashes. It doesn't clump, but I do find that you do have to work with this mascara just a little bit to really spread it through your lashes, but it's just a beautiful formula. It's one of my favorite formulas as of right now. The mascara I want to compare it to is my other favorite, the Maybelline Lash Sensational, their full fan effect mascara. This one retails around $7 depending which retailer you purchase it from. But this right here is just an oldie, but it's one of the better goodies on the market. Again, from all price ranges, this is a beautiful mascara. It has a very similar wand. It has super tiny micro bristles on one of the ends, and then it has kind of slightly bigger, longer bristles that you can control in your fan out your lashes. Like they say, it's a full fan effect, and it has that more of a curved bristle wand as well. So very similar wands, very similar formula, which obviously they're owned by the same brand, L'Oreal. So given that, this I think is a really great dupe for the Lancome. But let's put them to the test, see how they apply, see how they wear, and then the overall quality, longevity, things like that. Because the Lancome does claim to be 24-hour wear, and I find that this one wears beautifully throughout the day. So let's put them on 1-to-1. I am going to curl my lashes. This is by Kevin Aquan, and I do like to curl my lashes when I test mascaras just to see how heavy and thick the formula is. But since these are a little bit older formulas, they're not going to be as heavy, but who knows? We'll see. I personally like to start at the tips of my lashes when applying mascara, and then going to the middle and then to the root. That way most of the mascara is not at the roots, but it's more at the tips and the middle. And then I go in with that curved part towards the middle and the roots and really start spreading that formula throughout my lashes. And then taking again the tips and just moving the lashes around, fanning them out. And if you're wondering why my lashes are so long and dark, the Grande Lash, I'm still using it, but alternating the days. All right, so I'm pretty happy with this first coat. Most of the lashes got coated, and my lashes now look really dark. They're black, they're separated, they're pretty volumized, and they're really lengthened. Like you can see a major difference. Now I'm gonna let that set a little bit before I go in with my second layer and move on straight into the Maybelline Lash Sensational. And I'm just doing the same thing with this wand with the Maybelline, and I just took off most of the axis, just like this, just because they are pretty black and somewhat wet formulas. I take that curved side right there with the tiny bristles, and I hit the tips, and you can see the formula depositing right away. That way I can see how long it's going to make my lashes with the mascara. And then just taking that tip, going to the inner corner right here. And then moving down to the longer bristles, I'm gonna start rolling it up the lashes from the roots to the tips. And these formulas are really similar, and the wands are somewhat similar. Okay, got that first layer on. Let's apply a second coat. Lower lash line, and I usually take the more curved side and just like barely kind of run it and zigzag it onto the lashes. because I'm not trying to build up pigment towards the roots, it's more towards the length. Just kind of fan them out using the tip of the mascara wand. I think I usually don't want too much mascara on the lower lash line. I'm doing the same thing with this one, using more of those longer bristles. All right, so I would say the application is quite similar between mascara, but I found that I had a little bit more control and precision with the Lancome. This brush, because those bristles, they're a little bit more tightly packed and there's so many of them that I feel like it allowed me to have a little bit more precision and I could apply it a little bit better using this wand. And this formula is a little bit tad drier and it's not as heavy as the Maybelline. The lashes on my left side, they're a little bit more consistent and even with the separation, the length, the volume. It's a little bit more even on my left side versus the Maybelline. I feel like, yes, it was a little bit more black to begin with, but the formula is a tiny bit more wet. So I feel like it clumped a little bit easier and a little bit faster. And I didn't have as much precision and control with some of the lashes. And the wand, it doesn't have that many bristles in comparison to the Lancome, which has 360 micro bristles. This one, yes, has quite a bit, but they're spaced out far more in between. So you don't have as much control with the wand, but I think you can still get a really beautiful fanned out effect, but it is going to look a little bit more clumpy. So you do want to make sure you kind of go in and take off as much mascara off of the bristles to really fan out the lashes once you get the mascara on your lashes. The next thing, applying the mascara on the lower lash line, very similar result. The one thing I do want to say, you can get a little bit more clumpy right here. So again, just kind of go over and just try to fan it out as much as you can by taking off the mascara off of the wand, just going in like this and just very gently just running the tube along the bristles to kind of just take off as much of the excess as you can, just to get more of the bristles rather than the formula on the wand. Personally, looking at my lashes, I think they look very similar and even enough where if I told you I used one mascara, you would believe me. Otherwise, I think they look very similar. They applied very similar. Now let's see what the wear time is and how they wear throughout the day. Let's go on with our day and see how these mascaras perform 1-to-1. Wanted to do the first update and the lashes still look very even on both sides. They still look really wispy, beautiful. There's no smudging, there's no flaking. I'm looking closely and I think some of this right here was from when I applied it, but still look really beautiful. The under eyes look very clean. There's no transferring. The top of the lids still look really nice. Also no transferring. So longevity, they're both pretty even. I'm really happy about that. Update time. We're at the end of the night and looking at the lashes, they both still look very similar to when I first applied them. Last checked in with you guys, that was several hours after the first initial application and they both looked really good. If anything, I kind of saw a little bit of transfer to the upper eyelid after I looked at my camera, what it kind of looked like. But I have this habit of when I wear mascara, especially for the lower lash line, I kind of like to do this throughout the day just to make sure if like I'm not looking at myself, just you know, sometimes mascara likes to smudge even when you don't think it is going to smudge. So I have a habit of just kind of very gently tapping with my ring fingers underneath my eyes. So that's kind of what I was doing throughout the day. I was trying to tell myself not to do it, but I still did. I caught myself a couple of times doing that. But I do see a tiny bit of shadowing under both eyes, but it's very minimal. It's not that bad. And I did look periodically to see if there was a lot of transfer on the lower lash line. And it didn't get to an extent where I wanted to film and show you guys because both of these just were really similar and it's the tiniest amount of shadowing underneath. The one thing I really appreciate that there's barely any transfer on the upper lid right here. My eyelashes are now, they're pretty long and they touch really easily when I look up. They can touch my eyebrows and most of my lid right here just because I am using the lash serum. And yeah, I am really impressed and there's a reason why I like both of these mascaras so much. They apply really well. I feel like the formula just gets better the more it kind of dries down. Obviously, there's a point where you need to throw them out, but as of right now, both of these are very good. Very easy formulas to work with, but I still prefer the Lancome. I feel like the brush has a little bit more precision and the formula is just a little bit easier. It's not as tricky as the Maybelline, because the Maybelline, because it is so dark and so opaque, and the formula is a little, like I said, a tad bit stickier, a little bit more wet. So you do have to be a little bit more cautious of how you apply this, because it can get a little bit clumpy right by the roots. So keep that in mind. But there's a reason why so many people love both of these mascaras, and you don't have to go and get this for $26. You can go to your local drugstores, find this. Amazon, I believe, sells this as well for under $10. Again, depending where you purchase it from and what country you purchase it in. I do want to give you guys quick shout outs on other mascaras that I've just been really loving. The first one is by Bite Beauty. This one is $28. It is a clean formula, a clean brand, and this mascara is beautiful. It is a really stunning mascara. It's also more of a drier formula, but the wand, you can see how massive this is. Let me just show you in comparison to the Lancome. Look at that comparison. This is a beast. This is a little baby. So you can see how massive this wand is. I feel like a wand this big, it's a little bit tricky to work with, but you really have to be a little bit more precise. But these bristles, they're so densely packed, and the formula is so packed into the bristles that it's really comfortable to use. And yeah, I find that this mascara is not as long wearing as Lancome. That's why it's not my favorite mascara, but I do kind of go between these two when I really want beautiful lashes, and I know they will deliver all the time, and I'm not gonna have any issues with clumping, crazy smudging, flaking, etc. But this can smudge quite fast on me depending on what kind of base I use, especially if I don't set the base. But sometimes I'm like, you know what, I'll look past that because the formula is just so beautiful. My lashes look stunning. And then also on the cheaper side, I will give accolades to this mascara right here. This is by Essence. This is their Lash Princess False Lash Effect. I think this one is one of my favorites from the entire line. This is just a very typical boar bristle wand. It has a little bit of a tapering, but very easy to use formula. But also one thing with this is it's not super long wearing as the Lash Sensational. So that's why I did want to give these a shout out, because they are so quite enjoyable, but they're just not as long wearing as the other two that I mentioned. These two are still my favorite mascaras. There's obviously other mascaras that I really enjoy, but they're just something about these. They hold a special place in my heart right now. All right, you guys, please share some of your favorite mascaras with all of us. What do you like about them? How do you apply them to make your lashes have their best life? But for now, thank you for watching, spending time with me, and I'll see you in the next one very soon. Bye.